Okay, so here's our render. Didn't actually take too long. And it's starting to look pretty cool. You can see the reflections in the glass coming out all over, but it's still kind of flat. Needs a little color and stuff, which we're going to get to. But one thing we got to do is put some surfaces on these little truss bars things here. All right, so the way we're going to do that is come over here to the surface editor, and we'll open up the truss squares. Now, because I had made separate objects, they both have the same surface name. And the way Lightwave defaults is we're editing by object. So each object can have its own, even though it has the exact same surface name, can have its own particular surface. Often you might want to choose by scene, and if you do, you get this little warning. Surfaces with the same name will be created as a single surface, such as truss. So I never really worry about that because I always name things specifically, which you should as well. So if you were doing a desk lamp and a floor lamp, you should name them separately, such as desk and floor, not just lamp. Don't rely on the edit by feature. Make sure you just name things appropriately. All right, so for the truss, we're going to make it a metal, and we're going to do it real easy. A little gray, okay, about 85 diffuse, maybe about 30, maybe about 15. See, that's kind of a metal looking, all right? So not real shiny and not real glossy. Reflection, about 15%. What's it going to reflect? Go to Environment, Ray Tracing, and Backdrop. Let's just do Spherical Map. I don't think these are going to be significant enough to reflect like glass, so we only need metal. And we can do Fractal Reflections, or one that I always love, Tinfoil, which has been used for everything. Where are you, tinfoil? Helps to be hit by name. Tinfoil. Okay? And basically it's a crumpled piece of tinfoil in there. Okay? So spherical map and tinfoil. Alright? That's all I have to do for those. Put a little smoothing on, make it about 30 degrees because that will take away those little facets you'll see in there. Alright, so we're going to go save, press S, and now I'm going to do Shift S just to save an incremental version of this. So you can see up here it's version 001. And just to be safe, we're going to save all objects. All right, so let's add a couple more elements. We've added some metal in there. We've added our glass football fields. So what do we have left? We have some numbers. So let's open up and we'll choose our numbers in 3D. Okay? And for our numbers, because we built everything and centered everything, they're right there. Now, we don't want to take away from our main logo, which is going to be right here in the center. So for these, I think what I'll do, let me zoom in a little bit, is rotate them. And we'll just put them like this, go that way. And that's a negative value, so we'll go negative 90 just to make it nice and even. Press the T key for move, and we'll move those over. And let's get back to our camera view so we can see where everything is. Okay. Now these guys we're going to animate, okay? All these other little elements are pretty much going to stay put. We're going to move the camera around them. And I still might want to put a little bit more over here, okay? Let's just do that now. Let's take this guy here, and let's take this guy, hold the Shift key, you can select multiple items. Control C for clone, one time. And I've just cloned both those items at the same time. And we can take a perspective look at things. Let's move those over. And again, we're always working at frame 0 here. Let's go back to our camera view. And then rotate. I can see you've got a little bit more element over there. Hold the Shift key, you can select both of those. And let's move them down like that. Let's take this guy. Control C to clone. And you can clone, obviously, more than once, but I just do them one at a time. I'm going to size that one up. Let's take this one, Control C to clone, Y for rotate, and we'll rotate it this way, make it 90 degrees on the pitch, T for move, and we're going to move this one down like this. That one can go up to a little bit in size. And what I want to do is check from a perspective view that we're not crossing into anything when I size those up. Yeah, which we're not. Looks like it, but it's not. Okay, back to camera view. All right, so we got a little bit more there. And I tell you what, let's take a football field up here. Control C, let's clone one of those. Let's move that over. And let's rotate it like that. And I'm watching my bank down here. So just even that out at 90. Okay. So there. Now we just got a little bit more over there. So when we move our camera around. Okay. And what we're going to do in this animation is we're going to actually be all over the place. We're going to come in and we're going to see things like this, and we're going to fly by and just end up down right in the center. Right down here. Okay. And the idea of making all these elements in this large environment will just help create a little bit larger feeling rather than just, flying a logo, which is our whole point. And I often tell people, think about animating the camera more than the objects. Okay. So here's these numbers. Let's click on those to select them. Control C to copy. And Shift H, we're going to increase the size of these. Press T, and let's move those way over here. And I'm going to increase those really big. If I can, Shift H. Let's get those really big. And then we'll move them back over on the X. Like that. That'll be kind of cool. I just went to my top view by pressing 2 to make sure I wasn't intersecting anything. And maybe we'll put these down here like this. So you can see, as I was saying earlier, it's kind of important to do everything all at once. And as much as we try, it's often good to just, do a little camera, do a little lighting, do a little surfacing, because they all go hand in hand. So S saves my scene. All right, so now we've got a couple more things. We had our numbers, we had the truss, we have other ones, but there's some lines of dashes. Let's just add these. Okay, these are really just simple little elements we're gonna put in there. Let's take a look at it from the top view and use our period key to zoom in. And press this guy right here. That will center that selected item, which makes it nice and easy to get to things. And let's move him right over here. And then check from our camera view. I think it should be rotated, don't you? Not that way. Just click on the blue handle if you can, which is the bank. And then just enter in 90. That's always easier. Might be busy there. Let's just keep him down here. Okay, now this is just going to move down the axis like that. It's just going to be a traveling thing like that. You can, if you want, press H for scale, and you can scale this out. Let's do that. That's what I like about doing jobs like this, because often these geometric shapes just can be really manipulated. I can even clone this one after I've sized it now, rotate it 90 degrees on the heading, and then move it back here. So in the end, it looks like you're creating this huge complex animation, and you've taken just a few very simple elements and animated them all over the place. I think I need a little something back there, but we'll take our camera and move it like this. I think that might be a little better too. All right. So now what? Now what do we do? We got all these elements in place. Well, now we need to worry about some lighting. All right. So let's take our light view. Here's our initial light. Press 5. 5 takes us to our light view. Here is our light. Okay. This is our main light. So let's set this up. There's our camera. Now, I typically like our main light to the left of the camera. Okay, so I'm using my left mouse button. I'm looking through the light. The reason I like to do this is because back in my TV days, up on the ladder, this is how I set up lights. Pointed it right at where I wanted it to be. I didn't have to guess. So, do the same in Lightwave. Press P to open the light properties. And we're going to make it just a little warmer. Like that. Okay, 100% is fine. It's ray traced. I'm going to go with hard shadows. Ray trace are hard shadows. So I'm not too worried about changing that at this point. And just remember that a distant light doesn't matter really where it's positioned, only its rotation matters. It's always coming from a distance. So I could move this all the way over to the other side of the scene, way back there. But as long as it's rotated in this same direction, it'll light the scene from this side. because it's sort of an infinite light. All right. So since I have that set, save the scene, I can clone that. Control C. And what am I cloning? Whatever is selected. And you can see things suddenly get really bright. But what I'm going to do with this light, and I still move it, even though I just said it doesn't have to be moved, I still move it because it helps my brain understand where things are. And that way I just know what I'm doing over here. Okay, so here's this one. And I think what I'm going to do with this one is actually moving it back, and I'm going to move it up a little bit. Now, lighting on this scene is going to be a little trickier than most, just because we got so many elements. Okay, but I'm going to keep it up over here in the back. And I'm going to go to 6, press 6 on my keyboard so I can see it, what the camera sees. And I'm going to change this one to like a red, like that. And now I can see that there's red coming into the scene. Okay. Now I might have to change the intensity or change its rotation a little bit, depending on how the render looks. Okay. So if I come up here to this light and I just rotate it around, immediately you can see how it changes the scene. So maybe I'll rotate it up a little bit. I'm not quite sure. Okay. Save the scene. We're going to Control C to clone this light. Okay. And then I'm going to move it almost opposite. And then low. So I'm using my right mouse button. I'm using my move tool. With the right mouse button, I'm just moving the light down. Press the Y key, gets my rotate. Left mouse, click, and turn around to the right. And remember, you're pointing, you're looking through the light. So you want to pretend like you're holding it and turn to the left. A lot of people are looking at the scene here, and they then in turn think to rotate the image that they're looking at. It's not an image. You're in a 3D environment. So you're holding a light, and the same goes for the camera too. Press P to open the properties, and we're just going to go with the blue. All American. All right. So now I've got the blue mixed in with the red. I can see it a little bit. I might want to move that blue up a little. Let's just try it. I'm going to move it up. And again, you don't have to move it. You just have to rotate it. But see, and as I rotate, I can see the colors mixing. So there I can see the blue over here on the sides of these, which is actually pretty neat. Okay, so S to save. Press F9. Get ourselves a little render going. I still have to put some surfaces on my letters, and my little dashes need some surface. But we already did the truss. So let's let this finish, and then in the next frame, next video, I will show you how to start putting things in motion. But first, we're going to need a little logo in there. So we're going to go in and create just a fictitious sports logo.